Good evening. This is Dr. McQueenie, and I want to welcome you to PA 628. I'm very, very anxious and very happy that we'll be working together for the next 10 weeks as we walk through the issues and the theories and the practical considerations of intergovernmental relations in the United States. It's a complex topic, and one that on first blush seems to be nothing more than understanding that there are geographic boundaries. And in those geographic boundaries, different entities, states, cities, and counties do different things. Many people have thought public administration and federalism is nothing more than just describing the geography and understanding some of the rules of the road. But nothing could be further from the truth. Intergovernmental relations is really a practical application of the concept of federalism. And federalism was one of the core concepts that the United States gave to the world with the birth of its new nation in the 18th century. It is not simply a geographic distribution of boundaries or power, but it's a philosophy of governing. You know, it's hard for many, especially some of our foreign students, but many American students, many American adults, to understand that in the United States, there are about 90,000 independent units of government. You elect a sheriff. We elect the sheriff of Los Angeles, of Orange County. We elect the sheriff of San Diego. The people elect the sheriff. The sheriff reports to the people who elected them and nobody else. Mayors are not in charge of sheriffs. Governors are not in charge of mayors. Senators are not in charge of anybody. Presidents are not in charge of anybody in the states. And it's an amazing situation when you think of these 80,000, 90,000 units of government, all independent, all without a boss, all of whom have to work together to make the entire American enterprise go. The study of federalism tries to explain what is the secret sauce that enables that. Why has that sustained itself over 250 years? Why haven't 80,000 different pieces of government broken up into small little directorates or small little countries? What's the unifying principle? And I hope to be able to show to you that it is inherent in the concept of American federalism itself. It's more than geography, it's more than border, it's more than identifying power. It's a way of governing, it's a concept, it's a part of what we call the American idea. And we'll be discussing much of that next week. What I want to do in this week, this week, in particular this video, is just explain to you a little bit of how the class is going to be organized. I'm going to be trying to do new videos for this class on a weekly basis. I know it's going to be difficult because the topics are so complex and there are many and they're varied, but I'm going to try and hold it to 2 or 3 short video clips a week. By short, I mean I'm going to look at the stopwatch here and try and stop talking in 15 minutes. And I'd like to be able to emphasize in the video the kinds of things that maybe have been mentioned in the book, the text, touched on the text or in your readings, but I want to try and provide a little more context to it, and that's the purpose for the video. So I will be talking to you to the extent that the announcement needs amplification, or to the extent to which there are issues and topics that the reading touched on, but I believe would greatly benefit you for having a much deeper knowledge and a much more focused discussion. And I think that's the value add in an online class that I can add, and I think that's where the videos truly help. So I'm glad that we are here today to begin the journey. I'm glad, frankly, that it's a small group because we'll have some room to maneuver. We're going to have to make some adjustments in the syllabus because of the nature of the group, small nature. What I had in mind for a bigger class cannot play out in terms of our group projects, but we'll adapt. And as the semester continues, I will refine the group projects and make them much more amenable to the number of people and the time and the environment that we have. This week, we're going to be dealing with some introductory topics after I complete this class management video. I want to just make you aware of what those are going to be, because we're going to spend the first 2 weeks talking about some of the foundations and dealing with the foundations of federalism. I'm going to hit probably just 3 specific videos after this. After this one's completed, I will also post tomorrow just a very brief overview on American federalism, where I deal with some concepts such as the nature of the boundaries and how they emerged historically, the notion of sovereignty, what it is and why that's so important, And then the notion of James Madison's form of guaranteeing a Republican form of government, what that means, why it's important. And I'll just hit those generally because we will go next week into a little more detailed discussion of the history and the key points in the history that have gotten us where we are today. I also want to do a special video discussion on the Oregon occupation and invite your comments as I have in the discussion that we have listed. But before I do any of that, I want to complete this tape by just going through some points under a category that I will call class administration. If you don't mind, I'd like to use the syllabus as part of my discussion. Every Tuesday morning, we will have an announcement posted and the week's assignments identified. They are going to be due, whatever is going to be due, is going to be due at midnight the following Monday. So the class will run from Tuesday to Monday. I do that because after teaching this for a number of years, most students who are in the graduate school who are taking online classes tell me how much they like to use the weekends for the work and for the review, and to have that extra Monday to complete your work and review it and take a deep breath and look at where you are before you start the next tranche is viewed by most students as very, very positive. So I've always started my online classes on Tuesday morning instead of Monday morning. Please read the introduction to the syllabus just to get a sense of where we're coming from. The required text is it's a very good abbreviated version. I have it right here by Stevens and Wilkstrom, American Government International Relations. It's not heavy in anecdotes or stories, but it is. They pile an awful lot of facts and figures in a summary fashion in the 100 and so pages, 250 pages of this book, and it's a worthwhile text to guide us through the 10 weeks. I like the way it's organized. I like the content, but it's at a level that it gives you the facts you need to know. Hopefully, my videos and other readings that I will be advising every week will fill in the blanks with some of the rich content that is so critical to this course. At the beginning of every week, I will post an announcement that tries to cover and remind everyone of where we are in the course, explain somewhat about the assignments for the week, relate and react a little bit to what happened last week. If there's an exam, to discuss the results of the exam. If there were some discussions, maybe refer some of those. But the announcement is sort of a call to arms for the beginning of every week. And there will be one posted probably late Monday night or early Tuesday morning every week that kind of sets the tone for the following week. I have organized the course in terms of modules. And there are 4 modules in this course. And by module, we simply mean topics, huge topics that define what's going to follow. And as you can see on the slide that I just posted, the 4 topics are going to be, the first module is basically the Federalist concept, which we're going to start today and finish next week, and why it's a key component of American government. The second topic is going to deal exclusively with the issue of contemporary American government. Much of that is going to be from the readings in Stevens. It's going to try and describe how the end state of the evolution, where we are, how it works, where it doesn't work, what some of the strains are, and we're going to be covering that for 3 successive weeks. As we get into week 6, I want to take a closer look at some key components of the current contemporary intergovernmental affairs world. And then finally, Module 4 is going to be a discussion of the future, new and different challenges having to do with globalization, challenges having to do with pressures for regional government, challenges having to do with pressures to nationalize government, all of which will have a dramatic impact on federalism and in our way of doing business. I've also quickly showed for you the grade sheet, meaning the way that the grades are evaluated. Please take a look at that right now, and you'll see that the 100 points that are allocated are divided between class discussions, quizzes, a presentation, which I will talk about a little bit today, but more specifically as we get close to it, and a final exam. And let me talk briefly about them. It's really important when we talk about class participation that you understand that it's a graduate class, and you're not going to get out of a graduate class, anyways, one that I'm teaching, by just doing book work and writing papers and doing studies. A graduate class Part of that education is what you have left when you've forgotten everything you know stuff. A graduate class involves interaction, sharing thoughts, sharing ideas. So your participation in the class discussions is going to be crucial to my evaluation, and that's why I put it at 20%. I need to understand the effort that you put into it in exchanging your thoughts with your colleagues and me. That's where the learning takes place. Don't have time on this tape to show to give you examples of that, but as opposed to what one person can learn sitting in an office or desk reading and thinking, the notion of sharing those ideas and watching the collegial activity form new concepts you hadn't considered, refine concepts, permit you to challenge some of your own ideas is the essence of graduate education. And as long as we're doing this kind of course in an online format, I feel a responsibility to make class participation the same functional event as the old graduate seminars that I had at Georgetown, where we sat around for a couple of 3 hours with a professor and banged each other on the head over whose idea had a little more merit. That's a core piece of what graduate school is supposed to be about, and I try to keep it a core piece in all of my classes. There'll be 4 quizzes. I normally don't like to do quizzes for graduate classes, but in an online environment, it is really important that I somehow establish that the reading has been done, that the facts of the course are understood, that students have been engaged to it. It's an accreditation issue. It's good for the program, for people who look at the program to understand that you have worked hard in the class and that you know stuff. It's good for your career to have a program that emphasizes that, and it's good for the program to be accredited because it does this stuff well. So at the end of every module, we will have a quiz that will be an objective test just to ensure that the reading material, the discussions, and the text were undertaken by you, were understood by you, and you are able to communicate that knowledge in a written objective format. There are going to be 10 points each out of 100. Collectively, though, they comprise 40% of your grade, which is a lot. So keeping up with the reading and being able to perform on the quizzes is going to be an important part of the class. There will be a presentation. This is the one that I'm changing because of the number that is going to ask you to form into groups. I'm going to establish groups rather quickly because I want you to be able to talk with each other in a small group as well as in at large in the class. But the group will basically be 1 or 2 people here, and it will be focusing on one of the modules. And I'm going to ask each group to try and answer collectively a discussion question on the module, and I'm going to ask the rest of the class to critique it, challenge it in an online environment. More about that later, but there'll be one of those, and I will give that about 10% value in the grade. And finally, be a huge event, a winner-take-all, if you will, because it does bring together all that you've learned, and if you have done a good job in the class, you should do a wonderful job in the final. I like 30% number because it makes it possible for someone who has been struggling, not at the level they would particularly find satisfactory throughout the semester. You can make it well with a stellar or outstanding performance at the final. They can bump up a C to an A just about. So that's a huge piece, 1/3 of your grade, a high C to an A anyways. I also believe that someone who has done pretty well on some of the smaller assignments early on and is coasting, this should prevent you from getting too cocky, because if you tank the final, it's pretty hard to get a good grade in the class. So I've always liked that notion. The final will be a comprehensive essay. I'm going to try and build it consistent with the comprehensive question. I'm on the comprehensive review board. This will be my question that I review and look at as well. And for me, it's going to be very important that this is a dry run for that process for you. I'll do my best to both in the preparation to it, the study guides that we'll have to discuss it, the question itself, and your answer to not only let you get a good grade in this class, but to set you up pretty well for the comprehensive. Now let's go through the rest of the bullets here pretty quickly. I'm starting to expend more time than I wanted to on these videos. It's maybe hard to stay within 15 minutes. Class participation is a crucial part, very crucial part of a graduate class. I think it is the exchange, the interaction that makes a graduate program. I went to Georgetown where we had this the graduate seminars in which students could completely contradict, challenge each other with the professor, which did an awful lot to your level of understanding that you are aware enough of the phenomenon that you can argue points, and you can be made aware when your arguments are weak and correct them. And that is part of what this educational process is. It's not just reading and regurgitating, it's thinking through, evolving, and changing. And so participation is a huge piece, as I said. We give about a huge part of the grade to that. There will be working groups. They're not going to be as complicated or sophisticated as I had intended because we have a small number. And there's only 10 of us, so effectively it's one big working group. But I do want to divide you into groups to deal with the module question, the discussion question that I'm talking about. And I'll go into that in a little more detail in about a week or so. So I wouldn't worry about it too much now, but you'll be working with somebody to try and do a joint answer on a discussion. I think you'll find it enjoyable. Discussions otherwise are very important because, again, that's the process by which I have identified. There will be working groups. They're not going to be as complicated or sophisticated as I had intended because we have a small number. And there's only 10 of us, so effectively it's one big working group. But I do want to divide you into groups to deal with the module question, the discussion question that I'm talking about. And I'll go into that in a little more detail in about a week or so. So I wouldn't worry about it too much now, but you'll be working with somebody to try and do a joint answer on a discussion. I think you'll find it enjoyable. Discussions otherwise are very important because, again, that's the process by which I have identified think pieces, questions that are tied to each of the module, and I want you to demonstrate the extent to which you've thought about these things, you've read the material, you've learned them, and have something informative to say, and you have the ability to challenge or question your peers. I grade the discussions by looking at A, did you answer the question? B, did you sufficiently cite the literature and the reading to let me know that you have done the work? And then C, the extent to which you engage with your peers, not just a, Joni, that's a good answer, or Bill, you could have done better, or I'm with you all the way, but a serious critique of what you think may be an overstatement, an understatement, something a little bit too light, something where they missed the point, or missed side of the reading, or something. That's the part that I look for in discussions. And I grade each discussion very simply on a 1, 2, 3 basis. And to get consistently the high grades in these answers, you have to be able to do all 3 on virtually every discussion. We'll talk more about that also as we begin the first round of discussions. I'm going to try and hold a live forum twice through the semester. May not work, and it will be depending totally on your voluntary participation. I did it last semester in a 650 course, and the students really enjoyed the fact that they had a live communication with the professor and each other. So I'll get some kind of collaborative tool. It could be a Skype for business or something we have access to here, and make it available on an evening when most of you can participate. And we'll just invite an hour or so of just engagement on a topic. It might be during the political campaign, in the political season. It will be very fascinating for you to see the extent to which states play a huge role in the election of a president. Why, I can't think of another country in the world that takes a place like Iowa and makes it such a prominent part of the selection of their chief executive as we do. And there's reasons for these, the reasons for the fact that we spend so much time and that we elect our presidents based on a state-by-state operation, and it's crucial to that understanding of federalism. I mentioned earlier quizzes. I'll say them again. There will be a quiz after each module. They're not going to be a difficult quiz. They're going to be pretty objective, but they're going to enable me to ensure that, that what is required for this course, the reading that has been assigned, has been done. I think that you won't have much of a problem with that because we'll give study guides beforehand. We'll give a chance and ask the professor for you to deal with the issues. I'll try and give special briefings, video briefings of the quizzes before they happen, but it is important that you demonstrate to me that you have done the reading, understand the material, and I can attest to that on an individual basis. The final paper will be the final exam. It'll be a graduate level paper. I hold a graduate level paper, 5-7 pages, to the same standard I would if you were doing a publication. It is your finished product, documenting in an essay form your response to a question that's consistent with the things you've learned in the class. The only difference here is I will try and keep the paper focused on the comprehensive exam. So in effect, this gives you a somewhat of a dry run on the kind of issues that you'll be facing when you take the comps. I think that would help you, and it will also help me allow you to demonstrate your knowledge in the course. My Ask the Professor button is one of the things I like most about the online classes. If you look on the left-hand side of the homepage, there's a little button there that says Ask the Professor. That's a generic question for generic questions that any of you might have about the course in general, whether it's something you don't understand about the syllabus, whether there's something in the reading that didn't make sense to you, whether you're not quite sure what's going to happen on the quiz and how you should prepare. Any question that you would raise your hand and ask in class, you can ask by hitting the Ask the Professor button. I instantly get a ding on my phone, and if I can, we'll give you an instant answer on that. But I definitely don't let those questions go for more than 24 hours. It's a little different than an email to me, which it gets lost in a stack sometimes of 150 or 200 I get a day, and I get back to you when I can on those. But if you have a generic question that probably if you have it, others in the class have it, that you'd like to have a generic answer, I'm happy to do it, and that's the purpose of that discussion button. Keep in mind that it is a public question, and so before you start cussing me out or ranting and raving or say something that you might think is a little too revealing about yourself or anybody else in the class, understand that both the questions and the answers are public discussions, and you should act accordingly. Please contact me when you feel the need to do so. This is not a 24/7 class, so I probably won't answer the phone at 3 in the morning. But to the extent that you have a problem that needs my engagement, please try and get a hold of me, and I'll do my best to get right back to you. I do hold office hours in Jack Brown, 515, on Mondays and Wednesdays. Between noon and 2 o'clock, and then again between 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And I invite you to come by and just say hello. I'd like to get to know all of you personally, face-to-face, without the video and the screen. And so I had quite a few people last time come by and just chat a little bit, talk about the class or their future or anything. Talk about the Rams coming back to LA. I'd like to get to know you personally, and if you're in the building, please don't hesitate to stop by. That's it for now. This is more than 15 minutes. I have to work on that myself. We had a lot to cover here, but I'm glad that we made connection, and I will be looking forward to our next one. A couple more videos for this week's session will be published in the next day or so, and then we will have begun. Enjoy. Have a good evening. See ya.